You wake up to a small electronic sound, and before your eyes fully open, your brain is already on alert. You reach for your phone before you even sit up. 3 unread messages, 1 missed call, and a headline that makes your stomach tighten, all before breakfast. Nothing dangerous has actually happened. You are lying in a warm, quiet room, completely safe. But your heart rate has already climbed a little, as if something is approaching. That is the strange part. Your brain is reacting to symbols as if they were events. Downstairs, a coffee maker hums, and a dozen tiny decisions wait before you have even eaten. Outside, horns honk, and screens flash advertisements everywhere you look. By the time you reach your desk, you already feel a strange kind of tired, the kind that has nothing to do with how much you slept. You might call this laziness, weakness, or a lack of discipline. But maybe none of that is the real explanation. Maybe the truth is stranger and a lot more forgivable. Maybe your brain is not failing at modern life. Maybe it is doing exactly what it was built to do, inside a world it was never built for. Somewhere underneath the noise is a survival system shaped by an enormous stretch of human history. That old wiring is still running quietly, underneath every notification and every deadline. It still scans for threats. It still searches for quick energy. It still cares, deeply, about what the people around you think. The problem is not that this system is broken. The problem is that the world around it changed at incredible speed, and nobody told your biology. So here is the real question hiding behind your tired mornings and your restless nights. If your brain was not built for this exact world, what world was it built for? And where exactly does the disconnect begin? That question is where this video begins, not with blame, but with understanding a machine older than the world it now lives in. Let's start with the guilt, because almost everyone carries some version of it. You eat the entire bag of chips even though you promised yourself you would not. 40 phone checks can slip into a single day, most without any real decision behind them. A jolt of anxiety hits the moment your phone buzzes with an unread message. Strangers online become an easy yardstick, and somehow you still feel like you are falling behind. You lie in bed exhausted, and somehow still cannot fall asleep. It is easy to turn all of this into a personal verdict: lazy, weak, addicted, undisciplined. But most of these reactions are not personality flaws. They are old survival tools, still working, just aimed at the wrong targets. Craving sugar and fat once pointed you toward rare, valuable calories. Watching your phone for updates is a modern version of watching for danger or opportunity. Worrying about how others see you once protected you from being pushed out of the group. Feeling stress before a deadline is your body preparing for a threat, even if the threat is only a calendar reminder. Wanting a quick reward after a hard day is the same instinct that once made rest feel earned. None of these instincts are new inventions of a broken modern brain. They are ancient tools, refined over an extremely long stretch of human history. The tools themselves were never the problem. The environment around them changed faster than any single lifetime could adjust to. So, before this video goes any further, one thing needs to be said clearly. You are not weak for struggling with any of this. You are a very old kind of mind, meeting a very new kind of world. And that mismatch has a name. Scientists and writers who study human evolution often describe this mismatch with a simple idea. A trait that once helped a creature survive in one environment can become confusing or even harmful in a different one. This idea is sometimes called evolutionary mismatch, and it shows up across the animal world. Not only in humans, a moth drawn to moonlight for navigation can be fatally drawn to a porch light instead, because the signal looks similar, but the environment has changed. Human beings carry their own version of this problem, quietly, in daily life. Think about sugar for a moment. Craving something sweet once helped your ancestors find ripe fruit, a rare and valuable source of energy. Being alert to sudden danger once helped them avoid predators hiding in tall grass. Caring intensely about the opinion of the group once helped them avoid being abandoned, which in a small tribe could be a matter of survival. Wanting rest after activity once helped conserve energy that was never guaranteed to be replaced quickly. Every one of these traits made sense inside a world of scarcity, small groups, and real physical danger. The modern world kept the instinct, but completely replaced the environment around it. Sugar is no longer rare. It is sold in bright packaging on every corner. Danger no longer waits in the grass. It waits in an inbox, a bank app, or a comment section. The group is no longer a small circle of familiar faces. It is a global audience of strangers. Researchers in evolutionary medicine, including physiologists like Daniel Lieberman, have written about this kind of gap between ancient biology and modern living. The general idea is now widely discussed across evolutionary psychology and biology, not owned by a single person or theory. Picture it like an old, well-built survival system, one shaped for a smaller, slower, more physical world, now running inside a city full of Wi-Fi, sugar, and endless information. It has not failed. It is simply surrounded by signals it was never designed to process all day long. Modern life also creates fake versions of old signals: fake scarcity, fake danger, fake tribe, and fake reward. This sharper mismatch becomes very obvious the moment you look at modern food. Your ancestors did not live near supermarkets, delivery apps, or vending machines. In their world, high-calorie food was valuable precisely because it was unpredictable. A ripe fruit, a piece of honeycomb, or a rare fatty meal could not be counted on to appear again anytime soon. So when it did appear, a brain wired to enjoy it intensely and eat as much of it as possible had a real survival advantage. That is not a character flaw. That is a finely tuned reward system, built for a world of scarcity. Compare that ancient world to a modern gas station, a fast food counter, or a kitchen cabinet. Sugar, fat, and salt are no longer occasional treasures. They are constant, cheap, and always within reach. Modern processed food is often engineered to be even sweeter, softer, and more intensely flavorful than anything found in nature. Your brain never checks whether a cookie was engineered. It is easy to eat quickly, easy to eat often, and specifically designed to be difficult to stop eating. It helps to remember that your ancestors' reward system was tuned for rare treasures, not for a world where treasure waits in every vending machine, gas station, and corner store. Your ancestor might have found something this rewarding once in a while, if they were lucky. You can find it at the end of your street in under 5 minutes. So when a bag of chips disappears faster than planned, this is not really a small personal failure. It is an ancient reward system meeting an engineered modern trap, one built by companies who understand exactly how that reward loop works. This does not mean the brain cannot resist these cravings, because clearly, sometimes it can. But it does mean the craving itself is strongly biased in one direction, and resisting it takes real, constant effort. Understanding this does not excuse every choice. It simply removes the shame from the equation and replaces it with information. Once you see food this way, a second layer of mismatch becomes just as visible and just as personal. That layer is stress, and it barely ever seems to turn off. Picture stress the way your ancestors mostly experienced it thousands of generations ago. A sound in the bushes, a shadow moving too fast, a predator suddenly visible in the open. The body reacts instantly, heart pounding, muscles tightening, senses sharpening. Then one of two things happens. You run or you fight, and your body burns through that surge of stress energy almost immediately. Afterward, if you survived, your body calms back down, often within minutes. That is what acute stress often looked like for much of human history: short, intense, and resolved through physical action. Ancient people had long worries too, but many immediate alarms still had physical endings. Now picture a typical modern stressor instead. An email from your boss arrives at 9 at night, with a tone you cannot quite read. A bill appears that you were not expecting. A meeting gets added to your calendar with no explanation, just a vague sense of unease. A headline flashes past about a crisis somewhere in the world, one you have no power to influence. A message goes unanswered for hours, and your mind quietly writes several worst-case explanations. None of these threats can be outrun, punched, or physically escaped. Yet your body still activates the same ancient alarm system, the one built for lions, not for inboxes. A notification is not a predator, but your nervous system did not get the memo. Your heart still speeds up, muscles still tense, even while you sit motionless in a chair. Your mind still scans for danger, Except the danger now has no clear shape, no clear ending, and no clear escape. Modern stress is often described as chronic rather than acute, meaning it lingers instead of resolving quickly. Researchers have long noted that this kind of prolonged activation can wear on the body over time, even without a single dramatic event. Here is a simple way to picture the shift. Long ago, the threat was a lion, and running solved the problem. Today, the threat is often an inbox, and there is nowhere physical to run. The alarm still rings just as loudly, but the body is never allowed to finish the response it was built for. That unfinished stress does not just disappear on its own. It often sits quietly in the body, waiting for a release that modern life rarely provides. And food and stress are not the only old instincts struggling to keep up. Human beings did not evolve alone. For almost all of human history, survival depended heavily on belonging to a group. Being accepted by that group was not a minor social preference. It was closely tied to safety, food, and protection. So the brain became extremely sensitive to social signals, almost automatically. It learned to notice a disapproving glance across a room. It learned to notice whispers and rumors, because reputation could shape your entire future. It learned to track where you stood within the group, and whether that position felt secure. It learned to fear even small signs of exclusion, because exclusion could once be dangerous. This sensitivity likely helped your ancestors stay safely inside a small, familiar circle of people. Take that same sensitive wiring and place it inside modern social media. A single post can be seen by hundreds or thousands of people at once. Your ancient brain may interpret this enormous audience as one giant, ever-watching tribe, judging you constantly. Comparison used to mean a small group of neighbors, not an entire planet. Today it means measuring yourself against curated highlights from people all over the world. Every like, every comment, and every message left on read can register as a tiny social signal worth noticing. Every polished photo or celebrated achievement can quietly feel like evidence that you are somehow falling behind. Some researchers have referenced an idea called Dunbar's number, roughly suggesting a natural limit to stable social relationships. That number remains debated among scientists and should be treated as a rough shorthand, not a strict biological rule. Still, the underlying pattern feels familiar to almost everyone who has ever refreshed a feed late at night. Your social brain was shaped for gossip, shared quietly around a small fire. It was never designed to be silently evaluated by a crowd of 1,000 strangers at once. No wonder modern comparison can feel so exhausting, even when nothing dramatic has actually happened. Food, stress, and social comparison rarely appear one at a time. Most days, they arrive together, stacked on top of each other from morning until night. Picture an ordinary modern day, not one dramatic crisis, but 100 tiny mismatched moments. The morning begins with a phone screen, not sunlight, not birdsong, not fresh air. Your mind is pulled into other people's messages before your own body has fully woken up. Breakfast is often something sweet and fast, chosen for convenience rather than nourishment. A sugary coffee and a quick pastry deliver a spike of energy, followed later by a noticeable crash. At work, you sit almost motionless for hours, even while internal stress signals rise as if you were being chased. Meetings, messages, and looming deadlines keep that ancient alarm system quietly switched on. Lunch arrives quickly too, often eaten at a desk, with little movement before or after. By afternoon, a dozen browser tabs and unanswered messages compete for your limited attention. Your brain, better at handling a few meaningful signals at once, is instead asked to track everything at once. This constant switching creates a low hum of overwhelm that rarely fully resolves. Evening arrives, and exhaustion finally sets in, yet the phone comes out anyway. Scrolling offers small, unpredictable rewards, a funny video, an interesting post, a flicker of social validation. Your ancient reward system, built for scarcity, responds eagerly to this constant, unpredictable stream. Meanwhile, your social brain keeps quietly comparing your ordinary day to everyone else's highlight reel. At night, bright screens delay the release of signals your body needs to feel sleepy. You lie down exhausted, yet your mind keeps replaying tomorrow's tasks and today's small anxieties. Sleep, when it finally comes, is often shorter and lighter than your body actually needs. Contrast that with a very different rhythm, one closer to how humans lived for most of history, waking with natural light, moving through the day, eating simple food, resting near other familiar people. No single moment in that ancient rhythm is dramatic, but together, those moments align closely with the world your biology still expects. The modern day, by contrast, is not evil or shameful. It is simply mismatched, piece by piece, with a mind built for something slower. Before this goes any further, it is important to correct a tempting but misleading conclusion. This is not an argument that ancient life was some kind of paradise, and modern life is the villain. Ancestral life carried enormous risks that are easy to forget from the comfort of a modern chair. Infections that are treatable today could be fatal without modern medicine. Food scarcity was common, injuries were dangerous, and childhood mortality was tragically high. Modern life has brought extraordinary benefits that deserve real appreciation, not dismissal. Vaccines, clean water, emergency medicine, and basic safety protect people in ways ancient humans never experienced. Access to knowledge, transportation, and technology has expanded human choice enormously. So the message of this video is not that modern life is the enemy. The real issue is narrower and a little more precise than that. The problem is not modernity itself. It is how unfiltered and constant modern signals have become. Food did not become dangerous because it exists. It became overwhelming because it is everywhere, always available, and engineered to be irresistible. Information did not become harmful because it exists. It became exhausting because it never stops arriving. Social connection did not become risky because it exists. It became distorted because it is now measured in likes, followers, and constant comparison. This distinction changes the solution completely. You do not need to reject modern life or throw away every convenience you rely on. You do not need a new brain, and you do not need to punish the one you already have. You need a slightly better relationship between your ancient instincts and your modern environment. The solution is not heroic willpower. It is reducing how many false signals your brain has to fight in the first place. A phone outside the bedroom removes one easy invitation to late-night alertness. Less visible processed food means fewer reward alarms going off in the kitchen. A short walk gives the stress response a physical ending, even if the email is still there. Morning sunlight and notification-free spaces help the body remember rhythm. A few real, unperformed relationships can feel more stabilizing than 1,000 tiny online signals. None of these changes require perfection, and none of them are about discipline as punishment. They are simply ways of speaking a language your brain already understands. So let's return to that tired, wired feeling you woke up with at the very beginning. The notifications, the sugar cravings, the low hum of anxiety, the trouble falling asleep at night. None of that was ever proof that something is wrong with you. Your brain was never built for emails, endless scrolling, processed snacks, or blue light at midnight. But it still understands something much older and far more reliable than any app. It understands sunlight moving across the sky and the simple relief of physical movement. It understands real rest, earned after real effort, not scrolling disguised as relaxation. It understands actual food, close to how it appears in nature, rather than engineered for maximum craving. It understands small, familiar groups of people, not an audience of distant strangers. It understands a clear rhythm between day and night, work and rest, effort and recovery. You are not a broken modern machine, quietly failing at an easy task. You are an ancient human, carrying instincts built across an enormous stretch of time, trying to breathe inside a world that changed almost overnight. Your cravings are not evidence of weakness. They are evidence of a system that once kept your ancestors alive. Your stress is not proof of fragility. It is an old alarm ringing in a world it does not fully recognize. Your need for connection is not neediness. It is a very old form of intelligence, still trying to protect you. None of this means you are powerless or stuck exactly as you are. It means the real work is not fighting your own brain, but redesigning small pieces of the world around it. Your brain was not built for the modern world, exactly as it exists right now. But the modern world will not slow down just because your brain is ancient. So the kindest thing you can do is build small places where that brain can finally recognize home.